You had so much success with the solo album released back in '08. Did that make you hesitant at all to maybe go back to Bush?
No. When I tried to do that solo record, I wanted it to be a Bush record. So, in a way, the first few months of that solo record's life was intended as a Bush record. So, in a sense, it was, I was just left with a choice of not make music at all or do it myself, because the band wasn't happening right then. I tried really hard to make it a perfect return of all four members, and then that didn't work, but it just never felt like complete.
You were saying, trying to get all the original guys back. Was it a little disappointing that some of them passed on this opportunity?
Surprising more than anything, but I'm such a worker that I don't understand when people don't want to work. It doesn't make sense to me. But having said that, I understand, reservations, families. I mean, people have to take into account that to do this, even for a band that doesn't do well, is an intense sacrifice and impedance on your life.
And for you, like being such a worker and stuff like that, you've managed to make a great balance, though, with your family life and everything, because, your wife very busy as well, but you've managed to create a really nice balance.
Yeah, I don't know how we've done it.
I was going to ask you for the secret.
I don't really have any idea outside of a desire to make things work. Is usually a great system. And
with the current lineup of Bush, though, even though it's not all the original guys, it is guys that you've been playing with for quite a while.
Exactly. So there was no audition process. There's no new people. Chris even played with me and Bush on the Golden State tour. Corey's played with me the last 3 years. It really works out well. I mean, I couldn't be more happy. I had an incredible run with the original four. I have mad love for all of them, and now I'm in a different situation, and it's also really, really amazing. I mean, when I thought about getting the band back together, it wasn't complete. It made me think of Robert Smith with The Cure, where as long as he's singing and he's writing, it's pretty Cure-like.
And the single that's out right now, The Sound of Winter, I was curious, what's the story behind that song? I always like to find out what the songwriter was going for when they were penning a tune.
Well, I basically had written what I thought was the record, and there was an interim when we really felt that it was essential to leave Interscope Records because it was an unfriendly place for us. It wasn't working, and I didn't really like how they treated me over the solo stuff, and I didn't want to go through the whole process of making a record again that I really cared about, really worked at, and it just be sort of not worked. So it took a few months to leave there. In the process of leaving, I really thought that best weapon in any situation for me is to get back in the studio and write songs. So I went in to write some more songs and see if they could, supplant any of the tracks on the record. Meanwhile, I got new management to add to my existing management. I have 4 managers for whatever reason, and I love them all, and they're all amazing. And they said, we want to inspire you. We're going to work with you. The solo record was a huge hit. We want to inspire you to make the record of your career. And I was thinking, I thought I made a pretty good record already. But I just sort of swallowed that up. Then I wrote these 5 songs, and Sound of Winter was one of those songs. So basically it's only written 3 months ago. And I wanted to do those songs about the ominous clouds coming. When you're out with someone you care about and you think everything's hunky-dory and going ahead perfect. And then there's one comment and it throws everyone for a loop. And you think, oh no, the night's going a different way,
Yeah.
There's an unexpected twist, and they're mad at you or you're mad at them. And you get this sense of that moment where that you're in the doghouse for 3 days. And that's the genesis of that song.
And you had Bob Rock come in and produce this album. And I've talked to other artists who have had Bob work with them, and they say he adds another layer. And I know he worked with you on the solo record as well. Did you find that Bob did add another layer to the recording process?
He's all about adding layers, and I'm all about stripping them away. So there's always a perfect creative tension with us, which I love. He is a very, very good producer and a great musician. And what I like about him, obviously each band he works with is going to work with him in a different way. And the way that he worked with me is he has a good sense of what to work on and what not to work on. He's very open about that. He's sort of pretty ego-free about it, in the sense that if he feels he doesn't have to do much to a song or suggest much to a song, then he won't, But he's usually got something really good to say, and something pretty incisive, and he's got a great knowledge of sound, of guitars, and also the history of music. And that goes for current bands. You know, you'll say something and he'll say, well, this is what so-and-so would do. Check this line out, this sound, you know. And so he's very knowledgeable like that. And he's great to be around. You know, when you're in the studio, you have to be with people primarily that you like. So he fills all those boxes, and we have a great time. I'm not sure sometimes if I drive him a bit nuts because I'm quite independent. Then we stop, and then he goes. Then we become codependent. Yeah, you know, so it's always a push-pull. But there's a reason why I made 2 records with him, and there's hopefully a reason why I'll make another record with him. I really like him. I mean, I love the idea, you know, Nigel Godrich, who does all the Radiohead records. It's a fantastic team, you know, and they seem to bring the best out of each other. And that's how I feel about Bob.
Shift gears a little bit. I know you're a huge tennis fan and really good friends with Roger Federer. U.S. Open underway. Is your money on Federer to win the Open this year?
Always. I mean, you know, he's very dangerous. He gets a good run. Who knows? It's with all those guys, to be honest, any of those sort of elite 5 or 6 could break through on the right day. Basically, they just say for what is a major, you got to win 7, 8 matches or something. So it really is about the whole preparation, the run, the feeling around it. But yes, I already know that if he gets to the final, I'll be on a flight St. Louis to New York City Sunday morning, baby.
Nice. We'll look for you in the stands then. And you've played with him, and I know you're a pretty good tennis player, but when you get a point on Roger, do you ever look at him and go, did you let me have that one, or did I legitimately just get a point on Roger Federer?
Well, you know. I mean, he's a ridiculous tennis player, so you can muster up a couple of points here and there and feel good about yourself, but pretty hard to do over a sustained period.
I know acting's another thing you really enjoy doing, but with Bush back on the road, you'll have to put that on the back burner. But is it something you'll go back to once the
Yeah,
the
you know, I
tour is
really
done?
love that process. It's a really nice, it's a respite from the studio for me. It's something different. Somebody else has to think about the first, you know, to filling the blank bit of paper. And I love it. I did it recently. I did it literally 3-4 months ago. So I did that in Miami, in Coconut Grove, which sounds much nicer than it is.
You have so much going on. There's so much great buzz around the Bush reunion. What's the word to describe the world of Gavin Rossdale right now?
Today, the word I wake up and I'm doing, you know, speaking to you, I realize the word is thrilling, because yesterday it was like incredible. The day before it was like really something. The day, you know, it keeps on gaining momentum, and it's just the strangest thing, because I was always trying to do it, but it never felt like, to me, in my sort of English cynical way, I didn't know if anybody cared. I didn't expect anybody to care. I didn't assume that anybody would care. I just felt from my own heart and my own creativity that to make new music, I wanted it to be Bush, because I was just sick of. I was like, why have I got to forsake what I built? Why have I got to let go of everything that we all worked for so hard, just because one other guy doesn't want to tour? Turns out 2 that can't tour, but at that point it was 1. And I was like, I'm insane. This is really nuts. And, you know, I've clearly respectfully left the gate, the door to my house open for like 8-9 years. And it's just, like, no one's coming in. Shut that door, get in the studio, get the guys around you that are going to be in Bush, and off you go. And it's just been this really incredible ride so far. We've literally just began.
You've been on both ends of the spectrum now, though, having the band break up and dealing with that reaction, and then the reaction that people have now that Bush is back out there.
It's a bit like when a public marriage falls apart. I mean, guys, we don't really care that much, you know, like our girls go, ooh, look, you know, so-and-so. But at the same time, there's something, that marriage, okay, love fades. We knew it. You know, it just confirms our worst fears. And conversely, when people get together or people get married, it really is a traditional sense of they're declaring their love for each other publicly. Cool. That's nice, man. You know, look at this world where people most of the time are trying to blow each other's heads off. So when a band that people have had as a soundtrack, a backdrop to their lives, which is what I keep being told, and then that band disbands, it really is like, well, get over it. We all grow up. You've grown up. That period of your life is over. You know, there's a romantic end. You know, it's this sort of full stop. And so to be doing it again is really like people go, oh, there's hope. Look at that. You know, thanks. We really wanted to hear those songs from you guys and not in your solo context. Wanted to hear it from the band, and people have been so gracious about it that we're thrilled. And you know, because it does start with the music. You know, you can't do this reunion nonsense and not have a great record and just say, yeah, don't worry, we're going to play Machine Head 6 times. Cool. It's cool, man. You know?
Well, I was going to say that awe factor comes in, and then if it's not backed up with good tunes, the awe shucks factor
of course.
fades really quick.
We really do all fade.
You know, you've released 2 great songs so far from the new album, so the aw shucks factor has now gone into the great, they're back and they're still kicking ass.
So proud of this record, I can't tell you. I mean, I was actually really proud of the Institute record and the solo record as well, but that's because we worked so hard on them. But this is really, it's got a lot to it. So it's like a real lot of meat on the bone.
One more thing I wanted to ask you before I let you go. Your daughter, Daisy Lowe, is in this month's edition of Playboy. What was the conversation like when she told you she was going to be doing the magazine?
Well, we have a great relationship. You know, we're very close, and we, you know, obviously it's been an interesting, challenging time, but we're doing fantastic. I don't have enough say. You know, she's a grown up girl, and she just told me. You know, so I was like, okay, well, you know, it's really nothing to do with me. You know, I'd have to kind of be very careful with that. So I just have to let it be her own decision. And you know, I don't judge. So therefore, I sustain that position. You know, I think it's obviously going to be different if you've grown up with someone and they may even ask you before you do it. But if you haven't and you're just kind of getting to know someone real good, it's not really your place to say anything. So,
very, very true.
Modern life. What are you going to do?